Good evening, you're watching News Mongolian Beyond. I'm your host, Dan Rakambatar. And for our top story, Mongolia records growth in foreign trade turnover, steady decline in Mongolia's inflation rate, and November weather in central and eastern provinces. And for the news, stay tuned. Mongolia's foreign trade exhibited significant growth in the first 10 months of 2023, marking a promising economic trend, according to data released by the Mongolian Customs General Administration. The total foreign trade turnover for this period reached $20,033.6 million, showing an increase of $2,898.6 million, or 69% when compared to the same period in 2022.
A noteworthy development during this period is Mongolia's positive trade balance. The value of exports exceeded that of imports by $4,914.4 million, indicating a robust performance in the country's export sector, contributing to overall economic stability. The data analysis of Mongolia's foreign trade performance for the first 10 months of 2023 was based on a substantial dataset. It included 525,662 export customs declarations and 251,641 import customs declarations, along with data from various other sources, providing a comprehensive overview of Mongolia's foreign trade landscape. Mongolia also introduced temporary ports during the reporting period to facilitate foreign trade. These temporary ports played a vital role in increasing trade volume, with 27,408 export declarations and 1,092 import declarations processed through them. This strategic move is part of the government's effort to enhance trade efficiency and accessibility. The positive foreign trade performance reflects Mongolia's growing economic strength and its dedication to fostering a conducive trade environment. The positive trade balance underscores the country's ability to meet global market demands, and the use of temporary ports signifies Mongolia's intention to explore new avenues for trade growth. The robust foreign trade figures are anticipated to have a positive impact on Mongolia's economic stability and growth potential. As the nation continues to excel in the foreign trade, it positions itself as an increasingly influential player on the global economic landscape.
The National Statistics Office of Mongolia has released the latest data on the country's inflation rate for October 2023, showing a notable decline in inflation compared to the same period a year ago. In October, the inflation rate dropped to 9%, marking a significant reduction from 9.4% in July 2023, and this recent figure of 9% is on par with the inflation rate observed in August 2021, signifying a stabilization of price levels.
The Bank of Mongolia has welcomed this positive development, stating that the inflation rate has now fallen to a single-digit number, aligning with the target inflation rate set by the central bank. Notably, inflation has surged to 16.9% in June 2022, but strict monetary policies and a constant interest rate of 13% have contributed to this significant reduction to 9%. The Bank of Mongolia has announced its commitment to maintaining inflation at a single-digit level as the primary focus of its monetary policy in 2024. Inflation, which measures the rate at which prices for consumer goods and services increase, plays a pivotal role in shaping fiscal and monetary policies, and Mongolia's recent success in taming inflation indicates a positive economic outlook. This steady decline in the inflation rate is expected to have a positive impact on the country's economic stability and living standards of its citizens, further contributing to the nation's economic growth and overall well-being.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast from the National Agency for Meteorology. In the central provinces, November brings colder average air temperatures than usual in most of Khuvskhud, western part of Arkhanga, and southwestern part of Urkhanga, while temperatures remain around average in other areas. Precipitation is expected to exceed above usual in Khuvskhud region and the northwestern part of Arkhanga, and be close to normal in other areas. In November, at the beginning of the month, precipitation is expected in the northern part of the country, and most areas will be windy and cold. However, temperatures will be near average or even slightly warmer than usual. From November 10th, snowfall is anticipated in most areas, with some places experiencing snowstorms. During this period, the air temperature will be 3 to 4 degrees Celsius colder than the normal. Around the 20th of November, precipitation is expected in some places, and in most areas temperatures will be 1 to 3 degrees Celsius colder than normal. In the eastern provinces this November, the average air temperature is expected to be around normal for the entire region. Precipitation is anticipated to be lower than normal in the southwestern part of Sukhwatar and close to average in other areas. In November, it will be rainy, windy and cold in most areas, but temperatures will be around average or slightly warmer than normal. However, in the beginning and middle of the second 10 days of November, snowfall is expected in most areas, with some places experiencing snowstorms. During this period, the air temperature will be 2 to 4 degrees Celsius colder than normal. Around the 20th of November, precipitation is expected in some places, and in most areas temperatures will be 1 to 3 degrees Celsius colder than normal. Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Here's the international news from our partner agencies. Ukraine, Moldova and Georgia received positive news on Wednesday about their quest to join the European Union, but countries in the volatile Balkans region that have waited years longer to become members of the world's biggest trading bloc appear to slip back in the queue.
In a series of reports, the European Union's executive branch recommended that war-ravaged Ukraine should be permitted to open membership talks once it's addressed some shortfalls. The European Commission lauded Ukraine, which Russian troops invaded in February of 2022, saying that the government has shown a remarkable level of institutional strength, determination and ability to function. But it said that talks should only start once it has addressed corruption, lobbying, concerns and a law on national minorities.
Ukraine continues to face tremendous hardship and tragedy provoked by Russia's war of aggression, and yet the Ukrainians are deeply reforming their country, even as they are fighting a war that is existential for them. Ukraine has completed, I was there over the weekend and could convince myself, well over 90% of the necessary steps that we set out last year in our report. Just to give you an idea, main progress has been achieved on the constitutional justice reform, on the selection of the High Council of Justice, the anti-corruption program, progress on anti-money laundering, important measures to curb the oligarchs' grip on the public life, new media law, and progress on national minorities. The remaining reforms are already on their way, that's good, and the Commission commends these efforts. And on this basis, we have recommended today that the Council opens accession negotiations. We also recommend that the Council adopts a negotiating framework once Ukraine has carried out the ongoing reforms.
Ukraine's neighbor Moldova was delivered a similar message. Georgia was told that it should officially be named as a candidate to join once it addresses shortcomings, including in the fight against corruption and election deficiencies. This does not mean that it will start accession talks soon. The country will have to clear more reform hurdles before that can happen.
Finally, with regard to Georgia, here the College fully supports the genuine aspirations of the overwhelming majority of its citizens to join the European Union. These aspirations need to be better mirrored by the authorities, who should engage more with the opposition and civil society on matters of national interest. And further progress is needed by the government on the 12 priorities identified last year's before candidate status was granted. So now the Commission also acknowledges a number of positive steps. For example, the opposition scrutiny on the parliamentary work has been increased, an action plan for de-oligarchization was adopted, the personalised approach was withdrawn, and the Anti-Corruption Bureau was set up. Therefore, the Commission recommends to grant candidate status to Georgia on the understanding that the government takes important reform steps.
The Commission's proposals outlined in annual progress reports mostly provide technical guidance to the 27 European Union member states on how much progress countries have made in aligning their laws and standards with those of the bloc. European Union leaders are expected to decide whether to endorse those recommendations at the summit in Brussels on December 14th and 15th. There is no guarantee that they will agree unanimously to do so. Hungary and Slovakia are notably cool about Ukraine's aspirations, for example. For 20 years, the prospect of European Union membership has been a powerful driver of pro-democratic reform in countries wanting to join. But those in the Balkans, Albania, Bosnia, Montenegro, Serbia, and Kosovo have become discouraged by the bloc's failure to live up to its lofty membership promises.
What is your opinion?
Now let's take a look at other international affairs.
Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa met with European Union Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell on Wednesday following the conclusion of G7 foreign ministers' talks in Tokyo. In opening remarks, Kamikawa said the pair would discuss the Israel-Hamas war, Russia's war in Ukraine, and efforts to ensure a free and open Indo-Pacific. Kamikawa and her fellow top diplomats from the group of 7 leading industrial democracies announced a unified stance on the Israel-Hamas war on Wednesday after intensive meetings in Tokyo, which were joined by Borrell. Their joint statement condemned Hamas, supported Israel's right to self-defense, and called for humanitarian pauses to speed aid to desperate civilians in the Gaza Strip.
Thank you.
On Wednesday, an Israeli airstrike targeted the town of Beit Lahia in the northern Gaza Strip, resulting in several casualties. While the exact number of casualties was initially uncertain, an Associated Press journalist observed at least 3 fatalities. The northern part of the Gaza Strip has witnessed intense conflict between the Israeli army and Hamas militants. Although many residents heeded Israeli warnings and evacuated the area, hundreds of thousands of people remain. The Israeli strikes in Gaza were initiated in response to Hamas attacks on October 7th, which led to the loss of 1,400 lives and over 200 individuals being taken hostage. According to the Hamas-run health ministry, more than 10,500 people, including over 4,300 children, have lost their lives in Gaza as a result of the conflict.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.